Session 4, Ephesians chapter 2, verses 11 to 22. In his prayer at the end of chapter 1, Paul wants the Ephesian believers to know God's incomparably great power for us who believe. That's chapter 1, verse 19. But where do we see God's incomparably great power for us? Well, answer, in raising Jesus and seating him in heaven. End of chapter 1. Then we see in raising Christians spiritually and seating us with Jesus in the heavenly realms. Chapter 2, verses 1 to 10. But there's still more. We also see God's power in reconciling Jews and Gentiles into one new humanity in Christ. That's the second half of chapter 2. Now, we probably don't think that much about Jews and Gentiles, but that distinction back then, and in terms of the whole storyline of the Bible, was a huge deal. Israel was set apart, chosen as the people of God, unlike all the other nations who were known as Gentiles. In fact, even in the Jerusalem temple, outside the Holy of Holies, you would have the holy place, and only the priests could go there. And then outside of there, you had the court of Israel, where only Israelite men could enter. Further out, the court of the women, where Israelite women were allowed. And then further out, down some steps, you had the court of the Gentiles, separated by a 5-foot stone wall, a dividing wall that emphasized that the Gentiles were excluded, kept out on the outside. In fact, there were notices around this wall at various points saying, if any Gentile trespassed and entered, they'll have only themselves to blame for their resulting death. But now, look at what Jesus has accomplished. He's not just making spiritually dead people alive, but actually divided and hostile peoples united. You really are one in Christ. Jesus Christ has brought peace and reconciliation through his bloody death, overcoming all previous divisions to create one new humanity in Christ. So the church is a new united race of people from every tribe and tongue and language who have, in the language of verse 18, through Christ, access to the Father by one Spirit. Now that is real, radical inclusivity and diversity right there. And so Jews and Gentiles together, and in fact all other distinctions, black, white, male, female, young, old, rich, poor, through Jesus, are now citizens of God's kingdom, family members in God's household, and even part of God's temple. In ancient Ephesus, the key landmark of the whole region was the great temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. But the Apostle Paul says to the Ephesian believers and to us, you want to see something truly spectacular? Look at the Church of Jesus Christ, where Jews and Gentiles together are being built into the great temple where God lives by his Spirit. Now that building project continues today. That, in the language of Ephesians, is the true wonder of the world, even the universe. Can you believe it? You and I, if we're Christian believers, we are part of that too. That's what it means to be one in Christ.